Good morning. Go get your beverage. Mine's a coffee. Come on. All right. We meet again. I always start off by saying thank you for the support that you give me and everything else, and dialogue and interaction and everything else. I truly appreciate it. And we're rising up. We're rising up. So I was watching a video about Mike Franzese and everything else, and I started to realize that the irony of his life and how the tragedy, while when you're making $2 million a week, you're making $3 million a week, and you can't dodge the tragedy of and it's a personal subject, but his brother, his sister, maybe son, or other types of things. And it's like, no matter how much money you got, there was a price in whatever. I mean, whether that could be avoided or not, so you could argue and say, well, maybe that stuff was just going to happen anyways. Whether he became a prominent figure and very, very wealthy, you can pose an argument to that, and that's valid. But you would think with money and power that early on you could see that trajectory, or you could see the train coming off the tracks, and you might try to have a meeting and say, honey, is everything all right? Or brother, is that, or mom, is everything, and the irony in it is just, the irony is just insane. And there was a part of somebody, whatever, overdosed in his family, and there was a fatality in his family from an overdose, and whether he want to go after those dealers, there's videos out there, and it's a very sensitive topic, and I want to be careful what I say, not out of fear but out of respect, and I want to be careful. And when I was thinking on this stuff, fentanyl came into New York. I thought it was regular dope. I went down. I had a mission to kill the dealer that sold it to me. That was my mission when I got my bearings back and everything else. I saw him by chance, and it wasn't good and everything. And then I saw him again, and he said, "Hey, enough's enough. Let's talk." And he said, "I'm sorry about your buddy. My buddy, that same day I went down, my buddy died." And he said, "I'm sorry about him. I found out about him. Then I found out about you and everything else." And I realized I'm a big boy. I mean, I went and did it and bought that. But you want to kill these people. But when you go to the liquor store and buy a bottle of whiskey, nobody's pushed. You went there on your own fruition. Well, sorry about that. So I had to be responsible for my actions, no matter what I had to go through with the hospital, my family, and everything else that went along with it. But I could feel like, Mike thinking you're put in that position where bad things happen from drugs, and you're like, Murder's on the menu. I'm going to know. He's got enough money and power to know who those people were and everything else. But at the end of the day, it was his own family's energies that pursued that. And it's a sad story. And, we're responsible for our actions. That's it. You can't blame the casino. You can't blame the drug dealer. You can't blame the liquor store. It's just people are responsible for their own actions. And I realized after that, and I thought, you know what? When this dealer came up afterwards, I don't think he had any fear in me. I made a few threats or things like that. But he reached out and he said, let's have a talk. And he started breaking things down. And it was like, I feel like an idiot because I was running so crazy back then, not thinking about nothing. And he was right. He was right. He said they didn't even know what that stuff was. People started dropping. They didn't even know. They're just like, well, here's this new stuff from Pennsylvania, but we know it's different. But they started learning, learning on the fly that what was at stake here. And I was in that first wave. I was in the first wave where there's like 37 people went down and one got up. Me, I survived it, where there was just, and then every day in the news, it was just constant. It was constantly in the news, and now it's just whatever they do. I mean, that was the last time when I overdosed. That was the last time I did any drug. I don't even take an Excedrin. That was the last time, but I was responsible for that. So Mike Franzese he's been affected by that, and I know that's why he says he didn't like the families dealing drug, and everything else. But you can't get around that because they were still dealing drugs, whether he knew it or not, or wanted to turn his back to it or not. They were dealing like CVS pharmacy. There's no way around that. But I mean, it's sad, and I'm not trying to bash Mike anymore. We're older now. This is a social media platform. Anything goes, and that's just the DNA. That's just the fabric of this stuff. But he's seen the whole gambit, and he come full circle all the way around it. And we're older now. We survived. We made it, and we're just doing a channel. And yeah, he's got a big successful channel and everything else. And yeah, that's cool. And he tells good stories. He's likable, and he's good entertainment. And I have a channel. I hope I'm entertaining. I hope I'm likable and everything else. So the numbers are the numbers. I mean, that's all right. But I do have to get a link to my book in here, because monetization, when you get monetized, those are still small numbers. And if money is on my mind, to make money, then those are the avenues you got to take. I've been doing this for 4 months. I do not even have a link to my book, They Dead Missed, on Amazon Books. That's just, I mean, for money. And there's my story. Here's a channel. You want to know more about my channel? Well, there's this. You want to know more about me? There's stories in here that I won't say on YouTube. And I should have that in there just for the curiosity of my subscribers and for a couple extra bucks. I'm not going to lie. Money sure comes in handy, ladies and gentlemen, when you're eating bologna sandwiches. No. God provides. I joke around like that, everything else. I have a great and blessed life. Wherever my channel goes, it goes. Wherever it peaks, wherever it stops, wherever it Whatever happens, happens. I have a blessed life. My family and friends are my blessings. And you people that watch me are my blessings. And I'm not brown nosing. All right. So it's ironic that Mike, at this point in his life, he's got beautiful daughters, and they're all level-headed, and that's tough to do. That's tough to do where, when he was in jail, he wasn't around them, and then the daughter could resent that type of stuff. And I saw him do that video with his daughters, and it put a whole different way I might look at him and or judge him and things like that. Because I have one daughter, and us fathers that have daughters, or maybe having one, we want our daughters' love and approval. So you will just watch these guys on their channels. There's a lot more things going on behind the scenes than just a video production and and everything else. There's a lot more in there. If you're truly going to analyze, which people don't care to anyways, but when they're judging and throwing shit around, then you might want to dig deeper and realize, well, this person was going through this. Well, this is why they did that, and informants. Well, yeah, informants is a bad word. And they took, well, you know what? That's that, the rat. Well, that was just part of that game. You, Joe Viewer, go, oh yeah, the rat. Yeah. But you can't walk in their footsteps. You can't put yourself in there. You could watch vicariously and go, oh, I would have did this and I would have did that. Well, no, it's different. It's different when it's your life. It's your future. You have children, and you could go away forever. And I know Mike said that his testimony with Norby Walters didn't. Norby Walters, that testimony didn't give Norby Walters any time and everything else. And then he also says another thing, which he might be right and everything else, but Mike is going, check the record. Well, the FBI record. So, Mike, God bless you, buddy. But the FBI record, does that mean that's truly 100% factual? The FBI record? And I don't like speaking on the FBI that much, but you're making it sound like the FBI record is the end all of the 100% story that makes it true, but that could be questionable. I'm not saying that that testimony didn't. You might be right about that, but you were already rubbing elbows with the FBI. So if a viewer says, well, maybe he was giving out other tidbits, well, that's a valid point a viewer can ask. That's a valid point to say, well, you went to bed with them once. Well, maybe they came to you and said, well, let's negotiate here. And, that's what a viewer, whatever happened. I'm not the end all. I wasn't there. I'm just saying, watching the videos and looking back and saying, well, trying to get an idea or a reply or a summation to that. Well, I do not know why. I mean, whoever viewers I get on here, whoever subscribers I do get on here, realize that the FBI and those records, they might not just have the total story in there. Okay, that's all I'm saying. So you'll watch these gangsters, and that's their go-to. Check the record. Well, my channel is also an educational channel, if you will. That might not always be true. Okay. And I saw those records on channels. They got pages and pages of those records that he's referring to, and all this 90% of the stuff is blacked out. So that's not even a go to the record. It's all blacked out. You know why? Because there was a lot of stuff that the FBI did and the mafia did. And some want to protect, everybody's trying to protect themselves. So you could figure that out as an educated viewer on where that, how that worked. But, and I respect Mike Franzese. He went through a lot and everything else. And if he could trade all that money in and have his family back and stuff like that, he probably would. Because I look at him a lot different than I did before. I'm not perfect. Nobody's perfect. We make judgments and disbursements and everything else. And, I look at him a little different because I wouldn't put that on anybody. I mean, and with his mom and everything else, and, and I don't want to get too personal, but a lot of stuff happened. And, in the meantime, his dad was doing life in prison, got out when he was 100 years old. And it was just all derailed from the start. He overcame those things and rose up in power and money. But behind the scenes, his family was being ruined. And so it's not all bells and whistles and glitter and gold. There's a cost to a lot of that stuff. And I don't know what he could have done to make it, if he could have done something to change those events or not. But the poor guy's probably sitting back there thinking, what could he have done? It's just natural human behavior. So that's that. I just wanted to throw that in there because, the best of times and the worst of times. And Mike's just human. And he's just not a fairy tale character on YouTube. He's a real guy. He's been through triumphs and tragedy. And he's just another guy. He happens to be on YouTube. And, he doesn't really talk about a lot of that stuff, because he wants to maintain a certain image and personality and everything else. So I respect that. So thank you, everybody, for watching this video. God bless y'all. Stay great. Don't ever give up. And I'll get back to you soon. And thank you for your support. God bless.